1946, when Bernard Baruch presented a comprehensive control plan to the United Nations. We have learned in times past that the spirit of one moment or place can be gone in the next. We have been disappointed more than once, and we have no illusions now that there are shortcuts in the road to peace. At many points around the globe, the communists are continuing their efforts to exploit weakness and poverty. Their concentration of nuclear and conventional arms must still be deterred. The familiar contest between choice and coercion, the familiar places of danger and conflict are all still there, in Cuba, in Southeast Asia, in Berlin, and all around the globe, still requiring all the strength and the vigilance that we can muster. Nothing could more greatly damage our cause than if we and our allies were to believe that peace has already been achieved and that our strength and unity were no longer required. But now, for the first time in many years, the path of peace may be open.
With our courage and understanding enlarged by this achievement, let us press onward in quest of man's essential desire for peace. As President of the United States, and with the advice and consent of the Senate, I now sign the instruments of ratification of this treaty.
President Kennedy thought the treaty was one of his best achievements. Southeast Asia was something else. The limit of our presence in South Vietnam was 685 men in 1960, a limit fixed by the Geneva Accord 6 years before, which the United States did not sign, but which we pledged to honor, a promise that became increasingly troublesome.
How deeply are we involved in what seems to be a growing war, and what are the rights of the people to know what our forces are doing?
There is a war going on in South Vietnam. I think last week there were over 500 killings, assassinations, bombings. The casualties are high. It's I said last week, a subterranean war, guerrilla war of increasing ferocity. The United States, since the end of the Geneva Accord, setting up the South Vietnamese government as an independent government, has been assisting Vietnam economically to maintain its independence and viability, and also has sent training groups out there, which have been expanded in recent weeks as the attacks on the government and on the people of South Vietnam have increased. We are out there on training and on transportation, and we are assisting in every way we properly can the people of South Vietnam, who with the greatest courage and with under danger are attempting to maintain their freedom.
Our Republican National Committee publication has said that you have been less than candid with the American people as to how deeply we are involved in Vietnam. Could you throw any more light on that?
Yes, as you know, the United States for more than a decade has been assisting the government, the people of Vietnam, to maintain their independence. Way back in December 23rd, 1950, we signed a military assistance agreement with France and with Indochina, which at that time included Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. We also signed in December of 1951 an agreement directly with Vietnam. Now, in 1954, the Geneva agreements were signed, and while we did not sign those agreements, nevertheless, Undersecretary Mr. Smith, Beadle Smith, stated that he would view any renewal of the aggression in Vietnam in violation of the aforesaid agreements with grave concern and as seriously threatening international peace and security. And at the time that the SEATO Pact was signed in 1954, September 8th, though Vietnam was not a signatory, it was a protocol state. And therefore, this pact, which was approved by the Senate, with only, I think, 2 against it, under Article 4, stated that the United States recognized that aggression by means of armed attack against Vietnam would threaten our own peace and security. So since that time, the United States has been assisting the government of Vietnam to maintain its independence.
What are you going to do about American soldiers getting killed in Vietnam?
Well, I'm extremely concerned about American soldiers
who are, in a great many areas, in hazard. We are attempting to help Vietnam maintain its independence and not fall under the domination of the communists. The government has stated that it needs our assistance in doing it. It's very, and it presents a very hazardous operation. In the same sense that World War II, World War I, Korea, a good many thousands and hundreds of thousands of Americans died. So that these four sergeants are in that long role. But we cannot desist in Vietnam.
Mr. President, it was just a year ago that you ordered stepped up aid to Vietnam. There seems to be a good deal of discouragement about the progress. Can you give us your assessment?
No, we are putting in a major effort in Vietnam. As you know, we have about 10 or 11 times as many men there as we had a year ago. They are, we've had a number of casualties. We put in an awful lot of equipment. We're going ahead with the strategic Hamlet proposal. In some phases, the military program has been quite successful. There is great difficulty, however, in fighting a guerrilla war. You need 10 to 1 or 11 to 1, especially in terrain as difficult as South Vietnam. But so we're not, we don't see the end of the tunnel, but I must say I don't think it's darker than it was a year ago, in some ways lighter.
Mr. President, the only hot war we've got running at the moment is, of course, the one in Vietnam, and we've got our difficulties there, quite obviously.
I don't think that unless a greater effort is made by the government to win popular support that the war can be won out there. In the final analysis, it's their war. They're the ones who have to win it or lose it. We can help them. We can give them equipment. We can send our men out there as advisors, but they have to win it, the people of Vietnam, against the communists. We're prepared to continue to assist them. But I don't think that the war can be won unless the people support the effort. And in my opinion, in the last 2 months, the government has gotten out of touch with the people. The repressions against the Buddhists, we felt, were very unwise. Now, all we can do is to make it very clear that we don't think this is the way to win. It's my hope that this will become increasingly obvious to the government, that they will take steps to try to bring back popular support for this very essential struggle.
Well, hasn't every indication from Saigon been that President Diem has no intention of changing his pattern?
If he doesn't change it, of course, that's his decision. He's been there 10 years, and as I say, he has carried this burden when he's been counted out on a number of occasions. Our best judgment is that he can't be successful on this basis. We hope that he comes to see that. But in the final analysis, it's the people and the government themselves who have to win or lose this struggle. All we can do is help, and we're making it very clear. But I don't agree with those who say we should withdraw. That'd be a great mistake. That'd be a great mistake.
Is it possible to state today just what this government's policy is toward the current government of South Vietnam?
I think I've stated what my view is, and we are for those things which, and those policies which help win the war there. That's why some 25,000 Americans have traveled 10,000 miles to participate in that struggle. But we've got a very simple policy in that area. We do. I think that, and in some ways, I think the Vietnamese people and ourselves agree. We want the war to be won, the communists to be contained, and the Americans to go home. That is our policy. I'm sure it's the policy of the people of Vietnam. But we are not there to see a war lost. And we will follow the policy, which I've indicated today, of advancing those causes and issues which help win the war.
Winning the war is what we were committed to when John Kennedy died. The game of guessing whether he would have gone on to win it or leave it had he lived is like throwing darts into a fog. What we know is, as a member of his cabinet said, that he made the basic decision to intrude Americans in uniform in Vietnam.